Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
These service level agreements have the timelines that the organization would agree on. We tend to see some sort of deadlines, or probably you can say, this is the deadline for completing a work. And when it comes to PEGA's SMS, we have three milestones. You can say goal, deadline, and past deadline. Goal time within which you are expected to complete that assignment or the task, whatever is given to you. That time means that your goal time is already completed, but still you are pending with your task. That would be your deadline. As you can say, it is still not late. You can still act on it. It would be your deadline. After the deadline also, you don't act upon it. It would be moved or it goes beyond the past deadline. To give a simple example here, we generally get or we tend to fill in the timesheet every week. We get, or for example, let us take this scenario that you need to complete or fill in your timesheets by Thursday. Every week, Thursday will be your goal time. Still, probably for whatever reasons, your deliveries or whatever you did not fill it on Thursday, you will still time till Friday. It's not late. I can fill in the timesheets. This would be my deadline. After Friday, it's already late. You still did not fill the timesheet. That becomes your past deadline. After past deadline, you keep on getting reminders saying that you need to fill in your timesheet. A reminder for every day until you finish. Those are your past deadlines. When you look in this context, goal and deadline will occur only once, whereas your past deadline can occur multiple times. Right? Unless I fill in that timesheet, I will be getting on reminders. That's because of your past deadline. This is how we try to define the service level agreements. Let us see how we can be defined on this time. And before directly jumping onto it, we have one more important terminology here, which is called urgency. How urgent it is to complete the work is also important. Urgency is something that defines the priority of your work. Which assignment to be taken first is depending upon your urgency. Just to give you a context of urgency here, let us take a scenario. For example, assume I have planned a vacation. Maybe this is July. Right. I plan my vacation in August. Now, as per my organization policies, I would have to get my leaves applied and approved. in the prior month itself. Probably by this month, I should get all my leaves are applied and approved. At least for planned leaves. Now I will wait until July 1st. I will see that my leave window would be open. I will immediately apply my leaves. Now the window closes. Assuming the window closes at 20th. Whatever action is being taken on, it is like fine. By 20th, I need to be taken on it. Now, if I talk in terms of urgency. Now, if I talk in terms of urgency on a scale of, for example, 0 to 100. What would be the urgency on day 1 July 1st? I would think there is like 20 more days for getting this approval done. Initial urgency would be 0. You don't have it. There's a lot of more time. What about July, maybe 7th? Is there an urgency here? Not yet, isn't it? Right. It's not, right? It has to be. It's 7 days past. Correct. It cannot be so. Probably I'll put it some 20 percentages. Probably talking in terms of in the scale of 0 to 100. On July 16th, what would be the urgency? Will it be 20? Will it be so? I think it will be 50, isn't it? Definitely something more than. Greater than 50. Now, on 20th, what would be the urgency? Probably a maximum. I can put it to 100 because 20th is the time I need some action on my. Oh, I thought it was 30th. 20th is the action. Then it's 100. That's a goal. As you mean, 20th is the time within which you believe have to be approved. 60 is telling 50%. Right. It has to be definitely, high. Because until unless the urgency is high, I cannot have someone acting upon it. Right. It's an emergency there. I want somebody to act on my leaves. Because I do not know whether I have to pack up, whether I have to move tickets. I do not know anything. I want some action. Urgency is also important when it comes to SLA. Let us see how do we define this. Let me take you back. Let's type again. And now, on what steps do you think this SL could be there? Any guesses? Is it automated steps? Yes, it's. It can be automated also because you will set it and then it will send email. The automated steps will anyways be either if you are like scheduling it or if you are having it run in the back end. It takes immediately. Right. You don't need to tell that, you don't need to explain them, or you don't need to set timelines for. Steps. Do you think need these urgencies or this sort of? That's very good. There's an approval step. Their urgency is needed. Probably approvals. Correct? And any other? Any other than approval. Others if your task has to be completed, like the interview, like in this process recruitment. You will have the urgency after the candidate is applied. You will have your own deadline to screen and proceed it to the next step. No one interaction is involved. Because that's where we try to postpone things. We need to be, a deadline and all of it in order to come to the assignment on time. To observe. on the steps. I can have the SLAs. No, I have just clicked on Get Personal Info. On the right side, I have the goal and deadline. Right. Currently, there's no SLA being used. I want this to be implemented now. I have a custom SLA and an existing SLA. Existing. As in, the system has provided few SLAs already. It may suit any requirement. You can use them. And you can your own SLA, your custom. We will be what our goal and deadlines have to be. And typically, on the App Studio, you can address only the goal deadline. But if you want to check dead, we have to Dev Studio. We will have for what we have to go to Dev Studio for defining your past deadlines. Two, we will come. Wait, bye, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, in the context of certification, we have probably practically not be working on it. But it is to get through the certification. We have to go back and forth to the Dev Studio. And these inputs related to your goal deadline and what actions have to be taken. Suppose if time is not what has to be done, is it has to be escalated to somebody. I think accordingly we might have to send emails, isn't it? If it's automated, like if the deadline has passed, then one kind of mail it might go to manager or something like that. Is it like you want to notify the manager or you want to notify his manager? Initially, it might be with the event. It is with us. It might send the occasional reminder every time before the goal for us to complete. But once it's past deadline, it might go to both of them, seeing that it's past deadline and it has to be active immediately. Thank you. For each of my timelines, I can take an appropriate action. I can also decide how much amount urgency has to be increased. As the time goes on, you need to keep on increasing the urgency as well. For each time, you will be able to set the urgency. Exactly. The system. When you set a base value, will the system increment it automatically as time passes? The default value would be 10 for any assignment. We can set our own default values also, but the system has suggested that 10 is the minimal urgency for any assignment. We can check whichever works best for us and we can go with that particular. Let me select the one which we want to have the SLA. On the right side this time customer. And here you can set both days, hours and minutes, seconds as well. But now, if I put it to 10 days, I should wait until 10 days to check whether it's working or not. I'll put some minutes that I should be able to see whether my SLA is working or not. In the 3 minutes or 2 minutes is my goal time. You can increase the time and increase the urgency by how much amount you want to increase the urgency. If the goal is not met or if the time is elapsed more than the goal time, probably 20. And what action you wanted to take. You want to notify somebody. You want to reassign the case to someone else or you want to resolve the case if no action has been taken. Sorry, one question here. Like it is 0 to 100 is 10 is the default. If you're setting, you're expecting it to the deadline is in 10 days. Is it working in days or how is it working actually? Like if you're setting 10, what does that mean? 10 as in where is it on the days you're asking? Oh, that is the days. That's the days. This is the urgency is in percentage, isn't it? Right. Not an exact percentage, but it's a scale of 0 to 100. It's a metric 0 to 100. Right. Initially, it would be 0. But if your assignment is not taken up or not acted within the 2 minutes or whatever your goal is, then you are increasing the urgency to 20. Whatever initial urgency is there plus 20. Now, what action are you going to take? Is it like you're going to notify somebody? Sort of an explanation. You want to reassign the case to someone else or you want to resolve the case completely. Resolve the case as in probably your goal time is 3 months and the 3 months is passed. No action on it is taken. Then you will resolve your case. Obviously, it depends upon the requirement. Right. What you want it to do? I want to probably notify someone. Whoever is the assignee, I want him to be notified. And you can decide what message has to be sent. You want to compose it or you want to use the default method. We can deal with all those emails and stuff. I want to do that. Now my goal is set. And the next thing is to set your deadline. I cannot have deadline as 2 days now. I'm going to 0. And this will be for 4 minutes. 2 minutes and 4 minutes is the goal and deadline. And even for deadline, if the assignment is not acted within 4 minutes, what is the urgency that I have to increase it by? Earlier it was already 20. Now with plus 10 it goes to 30. This is the increment, the amount with which it has to be increment from the goal. It is the increment 20 you have set there plus it's not like we are setting the urgency to this value. No, we are incrementing the urgency. There you are setting the value. You're incrementing it. Here also, I'm not setting it. This is also about incrementing. Initially, it would always be 0. 20 now or 20 if you're not. Plus what? Here it is. It is 30. It is plus 30. 50 will be my final. Now, if I just try to run this, we are at my chance actually. Let's see. Here is my transaction. Let me advance it. Here you see on the top, 2 minutes from now is your goal time, whereas due in 4 minutes from now, this is your deadline. You can see the goal and deadline are now being impacted. If you also observe the urgency here on the open assignments, you see a clock symbol. Right. It says initially it is an urgency because you still have a lot of time for your goal and deadline to be elapsed. Let's see. It is a low urgency. Now, for example, I'm not acting upon it. Let us wait for a minute. We will see what happens. Maybe let me go to actions on the top and I wanted to refresh it. Let's see. This is in a minute and this is in 3 minutes. Let me just move and refresh again. You see, the goal was less than a minute ago. The goal time was already allowed. The deadline time still has 2 more minutes. Right. You see, urgency is still set to low. But once your deadline time is complete, it shows that you are probably in a high urgency assignment. This SLAs are for users to understand how to see they have to work on an assignment. And typically this job of signing or putting in some, these timelines and all of it is a decision of both the product owners and the BE. Both together, They have to sit and finalize a sort of view. No, they have to come in a common agreement, and that's when we tend to put in these SLAs. Are we good with SLAs? Are we good with SLAs? Any questions far? Not now. I'm getting what you're saying. I just might have to work a bit more. I think when you do it, you get more questions, isn't it? But otherwise, concept, I've got it. But when I have to talk about the past deadline, I can only see that on the Dev Studio. For example, now we have defined a goal for this get personal info assignment alone, not for any other. But if each assignment need not be addressed like this, you can have an SL on the process. I can say that the whole process need to be complete in a particular time. I can do that rather than packing them individually. Now you can also have it on the stage level. This will be like correct, collect and submission will have, isn't it? Or deadline, because after that you can submit. Whatever time internally it might take. Personal info might take 10 minutes. Education info might take 60 minutes. This might take 20 minutes. But my overall submission should be completed within 3 hours. I can define that on different levels depending upon your requirement. Or if you're talking about some, you can say about like credit card related transactions, some lost card transactions. Then I can define the SLA on my complete case. My goal of the case type should be completed within an hour, within 2 hours. Internally, how much of our time it takes, it doesn't matter for me. But the case has to be closed in 2 hours. That you can do the settings. The settings is with respect to the complete case, the case type. You can choose on what level you have to define. Define the SLA. Define the SLA. And if you want to have it on 2 different levels, obviously we need to make sure there's a sync in between them. Right. Defining an SLA for an assignment of about 2 hours and 3 hours. And on the process, defining it for 1 hour and 2 hours doesn't make sense. Right? Because step is below your process. We should check what level you are defining and you can proceed. How it takes when you set it at 2 levels, which takes the precedence. The step will take the precedence, or the lower one will take the precedence. And I mean generally, we wouldn't go over defining 2 SLAs on 2 different levels. We generally don't do that. It will take the lower level as the precedence. You have your goal and deadline. On the settings goal and deadline, you can use your SLA. Get all 4 levels. Go stage, case, stage, process and step. Get all 4 levels. We can have the SLA. Yes, I told you I should also be talking about the past deadline. Right. Where can you see it? If you observe and whenever you have used an SLA, you get to see this option. Open SLA in Dev Studio. If you click on this, this takes you to the SLA on the Dev Studio. It will be a lot more detailed here. Obviously, a lot more configurations will be available. Right. But from the App Studio, we will be looking after only the goal and deadline. Whereas the developers will look after a lot of other actions also. Other than just escalating, they can have a lot of other logical functionalities also coming. This is how an SLI rule edit service level agreement rule would look like. I told you right. Initial urgency would always be 0. But if I want, I can change it to 10. 10 is the initial urgency for me now. These are your definitions. Goal is like 2 minutes. And if you want to calculate only business working days, you can have it. But 2 minutes and using business days doesn't make sense. Maybe if it's like 20 days and all, yes, I can use this. And amount with which your urgency has to be increased is 20. Then what actions have to be performed if goal time is not met? If it's like on the App Studio, you can only have something related to escalations. Whereas developers will see a lot more other things. Some data transforms flows and all of that. We are, we don't need to look after these things. Just for your understanding, I'm just taking you through these. You can decide how many times your past deadline has to be taken. I want the past deadline to be of 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, 5 times. Every 5 minutes after my deadline time is passed, I want some notification to be sent. Just like your timesheet reminder after Friday. Right. After Friday, for every single day, for every 24 hours, you will be receiving another reminder. For how many days? For the next 5 days. After which maybe some other action might be initiated like that. You can just have a look at this. Generally, the devs will be working on it. I can just have a look at this and I can still go back to my App Studio. But here as a BI can only set goal and deadline, but that too with limited set of options. Are we clear far? Any questions? But obviously yes, a hands-on is required to understand these things more clearly. That's true. Right. The next thing that we would be doing is we will try to configure some UI. I would like to configure some view for this transaction. Because far it all is shown as an empty one, right? Without any configures or without any UI. Let us go ahead and I would want to configure some view for this. All this we are doing is configurations. When this application is ready, how does it run? Like what the user sees. Where do they see it? I'll show you. Whatever we have been doing, once you click on Save and Run, that's the user's view of your application. That's the actual user's view. Now I'm just a user. I don't have any other configuration right. What do you give them? What view you give them? Let me show you. Now, for example, I'm just going to save and run this. I'm just thinking in that perspective because I'm not able to connect that. In fact, we will be creating some operators also going forward. I think then it will be a lot more clear. But now when I try to save and run this, you see, here is the option on the top. That lets you use the location on different devices. How it looks on a web browser, how it looks. A mobile or a tablet. This is the complete end user perspective. Whatever you see from this, the blue panel and the whole of this white or gray background is completely your end user perspective. This is the tablet. And you can select what tablet it is and select the type. And you can also choose what mobile you are trying to look at. You can also see the sizes. When you give them the link where to access your application, this is what they will say. Exact. The whole of this App Studio, they don't see. They see only whatever is defined on your preview. This is the emulator. This is how I see my application. Right now it's just a skeleton. There's no UI. But you still see all the features or your SLAs, all of that is visible. But we did not define a view yet. This is the web. When compared to code writing, how easy it is, isn't it? Now let us go back and we'll define some view here. Views are always defined only on some collect information steps. Automated steps do not need a view. Right. Let us go ahead. On the right side of you have something called its configured view. Let me select this. What kind of information do you think is needed for personal info? I need to add in some fields. What kind of field? Address in the sense initials. First name, last name. And you can also choose the type. First name is a text of a single line. Then I also have some advanced options. What is the maximum length that you are looking at and all? For now, I wouldn't want to do any validations. I would just want to define the page. Let me submit and add. Other fields as well. Let me add in my last. Phone number maybe. Phone number. What do you think should be the type? Can it be text? It should be a number. And this one is. But I already have a phone for it. I'm using a phone. And then email next. I'm using a phone number. It's a special text and special. It will be. I'm going to simply use that. When models do you need? Maybe date of birth. For date of birth, can I use a text? No, it's date and time. I think type date and time should be there. I'll use only date only. Then maybe address. And that too. I'll try to use a paragraph, not just a single one. I think we are good with personal info, all the details, date of birth, and these details. These are good. If you observe, I can also set them as mandatory fields or optional fields. I mean, frankly speaking, these are all mandatory. But the problem is we may run the case multiple times, right? If you give all mandatory fields every time, I need to fill in that only like those. This is only for demo purposes. Now I'm going to one for educational. What inputs are related on the education for screen? If you have to be university. Alright. Then maybe highest degree. Highest degree, what I'll do is, rather than using the text I'm going to use, or I'm going to provide the user some radio choice, sort of. For having those, I would be using a pick list. Right. Now the system is asking whether you want to drop down a search box or a radio button. Typically, when it comes to user experience, if you have more than 3 choices, we need to go for a drop down. If you have like 1 or 2 or that sort of, we can go for a radio chance. Radio bar, masters. I'll go for A and I'm going to add my choices. If you have more choices, you can drop them. Right. University and highest degree grade. I would use an integer for it. Then what is gap in education? I'll let this one. Did you? I think. Fair enough. University degree. Great. Gap in education. Right. Even for experience info. What kind of details you need on experience info screen? Experience. Paragraph is. Why is it integer? Experience. Number of years. OQQ experience. Then maybe, like you said, maybe the tech stack or whatever. That could be. Whatever is. All the various technologies that the candidate has worked on. All of them. And they maybe certifications. Or I'll put it this. I would also want to connect that information. This candidate is part of my organization earlier or not. Something. Improve. Employee. If he's already a previous employee earlier, I might take him through a different or recruitment. A different process. If I want to connect the same one. What do you think should be the type for this? Can it be a text? Can it be a text? Can it be a text type? Bool. Bool. Boolean. Exact. I'm going to use Boolean. Right. Anything else? Experience. Text type. A previous employee. I think yes. Let's see. What if required? We can come back and add these in. What is there? I haven't given anything and I just clicked on submit. It said, they will. Interesting. Now we run this. We'll see how it works. On create, we did not yet define any screen. Let's check once. Taking much of time. Now you get a U. The screen looks like. And it's showing the 2 minutes of time. It's from now. And fill in some details. I add them. The candidate would look the screen like this. This is the user's view of the application. Cancel button, save button, submit button. When you do a UI, it automatically comes over. Right. I don't need to configure anything with this to write a code behind it. Cancel. It takes a lot of time, isn't it? But you'll get it automatically. It's great. Let us fill in some information here. What is the coding bag of this? It's all in Java. O-based, object-oriented programming, behind which the code that is generated is all O. I'm going to add in some details. And if you see, I've just given it on the email. But it says there has to be a valid email address. @ Because if the type is email, even that is validated, isn't it? By the code in the background. If I give something else here, probably. If I give something like this, it is intervalid phone number. Because it is validated. Even yes. Date of birth. I've got a calendar. I can choose. Date of birth is chosen and some items. And it has to go to the next screen now. Educational info, some university. And a choice. A grade. Grade is an integer, right? If I try to fill in alphabets here, just to make sure, the question isn't taking it all. Right. And then gap in education. Maybe like 2 years. Or when I say gap in education is months. I mean as per the instruction. Maybe I'll give it 12 months. Probably 1 year of gap in education. This is your experience, is the text tag. And when you use a boolean, this is how it turns out to be on the front end. Like a checkbox, a do or false. Now when I submit, rest of the flow, we haven't configured. It was all optional. Continue. That's it. Right. That's interesting. It's quick to build the app. Isn't it a simple app? This is otherwise. To build a submit only will take such a long time. And your submit comes automatically. It's like almost 6 times faster than the conventional coding. Because to make an email type, you need a lot of validations, isn't it? To make type email, like you need to pass it. You need to check what is the data, any put in data, and then this one. How do we do the login authentication for the people? Is it? Even that should be. We will be discussing that. We have something called as access groups. Access group is something that lets you log in onto a particular application or on a particular user portal. Even now, this person who is making an application to the recruitment, it will ask, isn't it to sign up or to log in or to be a guest? Correct. This login that we see, right? The home screen login. That is the login we have. Any user who logs in has to be through that point. He could be an admin. He could be an actual end user, a manager. They should be able to log in with that home screen. But now this to the same app, you will be giving access to multiple people once it's developed. How is that? Correct. For that you need to build a login screen, isn't it? Why? Isn't it like sign up screen? Exactly. Right. That's also a case type, isn't it? Because before coming to can it be a create step? Because we have not done anything in create, isn't it? Because once you see these new dashboard, all of it means that you are already in the application. Unless you log in, you cannot see all of this, right? You see, Alice, IMPL means you are already in the application. That is, for the people who are doing it are testers or anything, but now a candidate in the internet. I'm seeing a candidate who comes to your portal. Note the candidate also. He has to log in from that home screen itself. We will be validating his access groups and then only we will, show the appropriate portal to him. Typically that will be looking later. Later we'll be looking at it. Not exactly. Log in and sign up for a bit. More than a CSA concepts, pardon CSSA. It's like a bit of. Oh, CSSA. What is CSSA? It's not even the CSA certified C system architect. Oh, it's their job to do that. You need to have more knowledge on that. To do that. Because it deals with a lot of rule forms and all. We'll not be looking at it. We are only looking at it as a B. We will be looking at the actors group part and all of that. That we will be looking at. But when you're building application, there will be business users questions and data about the logins because they will have their own idea about how they have to log in and how they have to log in and how they have to log in and how they have to log in. It is part of also the, isn't it? Not exactly. Here this authentication or the types of authentication that we look at. I mean that typically if I got developers look at the basic or are unauthenticated, that's part of the dev portal completely. Right. I mean here also, we tend to look at a little related to the access and stuff, but more of the ones would be from the dev studio only. No, I understand. The building is from dev studio because we can't build it. It will be the part of dev studio what they have to do, but there will be business requirements saying this how secured it should be. Isn't it like they might have their own requirement to come to the website? That's what I mean. They may not be knowing the technical details of it, how you do it, but they will have their business specifications like what they want. Business specifications. Again, it's the job of us to provide those inputs to them. We don't do it directly on the application, but we will those inputs. That might be one of the documentation, isn't it? Correct. Probably the last thing that we would be looking at is optional actions. What we will do is, how do you deal with controlling your case workflow? How do you deal with defining your or controlling the case? Let me just go back to the case lifecycle once. And the first thing that we would be looking at is optional actions. Sometimes like when we visit some resorts or something, they tend to give you some complete elementary stuff. As in like a swimming pool is available. If you have a spare service is available or gym is available, means that it is available and we use it. They are the sort of optional. If we want, we can use it. It's not like everyone whoever has been into the resort, they have to go to the gym or they have to use this swimming pool. It's an optional thing. Similarly, here also in our transactions, we will let some actions be optional. Let's say they don't need to be mandatory part of your primary path. It can be on the optional side, right? For example, updating contact details. Should it be a primary path or should it be an optional action? Updating contact details should be a primary path, isn't it? Updating as in, I already have the details, but if I want to update, oh, that's the optional. That's optional, right? Like when you probably look at, not everyone wants to update. Not everyone who registers. It's only when it's changing or something like that. Exactly. Here also we have certain optional actions that are possible. If you look at on the right side, you have the optional actions. Let me select. These optional actions are out of sequence actions. The user, he tries to launch the optional action. Then it's his choice whether he want to come back to the main process again or whether he want to resolve the case. To give you a simple example, suppose we are trying to order something online. You have chosen all your products. You've added onto the cart. But instead of paying the amount or instead of making a payment, you chose cancel order. Cancel order means once that screen is visible, once you verified or once you submitted, I cannot come back to my original screen. Or I cannot come back to the beginning of my transaction again. It's an out-of-sequence action that you have chose and that is completed, with which your case is now resolved. It doesn't return. It always doesn't need to be coming back to your original transition. On the other hand, if you are dealing with some update contact details, you can update your content details, come back and finish your transaction. It depends upon the kind of optional action that you are looking at. Now on the optional actions, you see this case wide action and there is stage only action. A few actions are available throughout the case. Something like updating contact details can be available throughout the case. And few actions are. They are only part of that particular stage. Any other stage I look into, I don't have those optional actions. Right. You can set it to the stage. Correct. Correct. And when you suppose my requirement is, I would like to add an optional action on the interview. Where, for example, an HR wants to update some experience details of the cat. What I could do is I click on More. If you want to add something new, you can do it. If not, you can click on More. You have two kinds of optional actions. There is a process. There is a user action, which defines the number of screens you are going to handle. If it's a single screen action, you go for user action. Or multiple screens, you go for a process. Like cancel order that we discussed. Cancel order cannot be a simple screen. They will ask you a lot of questions. Like, is there an inconvenience caused? Or tell us the reasons why you are cancelling something. They will take you through a series of screens. That is the scenario. You go for using a process. Right. Otherwise, you can use a user action. This shows all the processes that are available on your application or on the case type. I want to use an assignment here. Let me use a user action. I wanted the H. Once I submit only during the interview, the HR can change any of my contact details. Or let me put this experience details. But once the release offer is done or once I am in the release offer, more changes can be made on the experience. Whereas I will define a case wide action for defining or updating my contact details. That can happen anywhere, right? I can request for a change of my email or change of mobile number, and that can be done anywhere. I will use this get personal. There is a case wide action created. There is an optional action also create. Let's see. I'm going to see when it runs. Advance it. And where can I see all the optional actions? See it under the actions. I just not saved. Save it. Let me first add in some details. Hello world. Some phone number. This is the one. This is the one. I'm still under the submission stage here. See a case wide action. I see the get personal info. If I want, I can go back to the screen. I can make changes. I can come. I can go back to the screen. I can go back to the screen. Now, if I want, for example, I see that maybe my phone number has to be changed. I can click on this. I only get personal info screening. Probably a change in the email. I'll come back to my original screening where I have started. This is like, even though it is an out of sequence action, I have come back to my regular path. Now I'm on the interview stage, which means I see two optional actions. One is for experience info. One is for personal. Both I can see. Let me pass this. Now, for example, if I want to go back to experience info, I'm on the screen. I'm on the screen. JavaScript. I got something. I can add in more details. I'm back onto my earlier screen. Once it is approved. Once I'm through this stage, I only see one optional action. I only see get personal info. Whereas experience info is no longer available. Right. With that, actual is a stage only, action available only on that particular stage. This is how you will be able to add in some optional actions on your application. I'll see you next time. I'm going to show you the next one. Let's see. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.